Good morning, everyone. We will go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us. We have Secretary Boockvar and our special guest today, Commissioner Mike Pipe from Center County. Go ahead, Secretary.
Thanks, Wanda. Morning, everybody. I'm very pleased that Michael Pipe, Chairman of the Center County Board of Commissioners, is here to join us today. He'll be speaking to you from Center County's beautiful state-of-the-art satellite county election office, where voters are applying for mail ballots, dropping off their voted early in-person mail voting is going on, and lots of good things. So I look forward to seeing it, Commissioner Pipe. But first, I want to give you the latest numbers and update on a few things. So I have to say my prognostication skills were strong last week. I thought we would exceed 9 million in our voter registration numbers, and in fact we did. So as of today, we have 9,050,870 registered Pennsylvania voters. Those numbers will still climb over the next week or so as counties are furiously still processing the paper applications that were received by the deadline. Of those over 9 million, 4,220,397 are registered Democrats, 3,526,857 are registered Republicans. Independents are 904,440, and others are 399,176. So all-time high, very excited for the engagement of Pennsylvanians. Okay, approved mail-in and absentee ballot applications statewide. So total approved applications are 2,861,900. So again, with almost a week to go still, we are well on track for somewhere in the range of 3 million applications. Of those, 1,825,587 are Democratic, 714,079 are Republican, and 322,234 are other, and that includes independents. So the ballots that are in the process of mailing are over 2.8 million, so 2,818,573. We've gotten a lot of returned ballots in the last week. So many that, in fact, these numbers that I'm going to give you are not all of them. So these are the numbers for the ones that have been returned and scanned. So we have 1,179,808 cast ballots. That's approximately 41% of the total mailed ballots. And you may recall that 1 week ago, we were at 517,818. So counties have reported having received a lot this week. They're still catching up with logging all those received. So, but of these numbers that are logged, 847,349 are Democratic, 227,481 are Republican, and 104,978 are other. So with almost 2 weeks still to go, nearly 70% of the counties have already received back more than 1/3 of their mailed out ballots. And nearly 40% of the counties have received at least 50% of their ballots back. And just for comparison, I looked back to some of our numbers before the primary, and around 2 weeks before the primary, none of the counties had received back 50% of their ballots sent, and only about 1/3 of the counties had received back more than 1/3 of their ballots. So we are well ahead of the game now with 2 weeks still to go. These numbers will continue to grow, obviously a lot. Over 50,000 Pennsylvanians have cast their ballots early over the counter, so early in person at their county elections office, including me. So as I told you a couple weeks ago, I went to Bucks County. This is a great way for voters to vote. You still have 6 days, so the last day for both applying for your mail-in ballot or for voting early in person, all in one. So going in person to your county election office, handing in your application, being checked for eligibility, being handed your ballot, doing it, filling out there, casting it all in one visit. Next Tuesday is the last day for that. So urging voters to act now. Couple of, you guys know I like data. So some interesting, now that the voter registration deadline has passed, some really interesting registration information. I already told you that we still have applications being processed over the next week. But I will tell you that on Monday, which was the last day to register to vote in the November 3rd election, more than 56,000 applications were submitted through our online voter registration system in that one day. And just since October 1st, so between October 1st and October 19th, more than 271,000 applications were submitted online. So far in 2020, the online voter registration system has received 1,048,819 applications. And when you compare to 2016, 858,984 applications, voter registration applications were received for all of 2016. So we've had a huge increase since 2016, and it's really impressive and heartening to see so many Pennsylvanians wanting to participate. We expect very high voter turnout. Okay, so we've heard a couple reports from voters who are concerned because they dropped off their ballot or mailed it back but haven't received an email confirmation updating them on the status of their ballot. As the volume of these return ballots grows, some counties, as I mentioned, are receiving thousands a day. And so they're taking it, they're not processed as soon as they're received. So they'll keep processing them. I know that now that they've gotten the huge majority of their ballots in the mail, the counties, they'll be able to shift more to processing the incoming ones. So voters should not worry that if they don't get that status update email immediately, but you can always go onto votespa.com, click on your county contact information, and just call them if you have any questions. I said this already, I'm just going to say it again. I don't care what any court decisions say. I want every voter to get your ballot in the mail today. So if you haven't applied and you want to vote by mail, do it today. Even though the deadline is October 27th, do it today. Go to votespa.com, apply for your mail ballot. Or as I mentioned, we've got 6 more days of early in-person voting. It's such a great way to vote on your own schedule during county election office hours. But no matter how you do this, if you're not going to vote in person on election day, do not wait. Apply today, get your ballot in as soon as possible. The safest way to make sure that your ballot is counted is to make sure it is received by November 3rd. Drop it off in person if you can. There's never been so many options. You can go to votespa.com for locations. You can find out all the approved drop-off locations, drop boxes, county election offices in your county. And of course, please don't return a naked ballot because it won't count. Make sure you'll get 2 envelopes. Make sure both of them clothe your ballot. Put your ballot in the inner white secrecy envelope, put that inner white secrecy envelope in the outer envelope, and make sure you sign your outer envelope. All these steps must be followed for the ballot to count. All right, so I think what I will do now is I will pass this over, introduce Commissioner Mike Pipe. And Commissioner, I'd love to hear about your new county election office and anything else that you would like to speak about. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Secretary Boockvar. We're excited to join you here from beautiful Center County. So behind me is the satellite elections office that Center County Board of Elections has designated for this election. I'd love to give you a tour inside. And behind me is the beautiful Beaver Stadium where the Nittany Lions will be playing some football in a few weeks without any fans in the stadium. But we decided that we wanted to give voters another option to vote in this election. And we sort of think of the different options that people have as dining in, taking out, and delivery in terms of food. So if you think about dining in, that's where you go to vote in person on election day. Takeout might be an early vote location like this one here, and delivery may be voting by mail. And so that's how we're thinking. We wanted to give more of a menu and more options to voters here in Center County. So we have plenty of parking out in front of the Bryce Jordan Center, and we're using Gate A to come on inside. And the one great thing that voters really like about voting at a satellite elections office is from a COVID-19 safety standpoint, we can require, because this is an extension of our county elections office, masking. So I'm going to pause here a second, get my mask on, ready to go here. And so one of the things that we've situated inside when people get here right away are hand sanitizers. We want to make sure that people are, again, staying safe. So today we have Pat, Linda, and Vicky that are helping us out here at our greeters table. And so voters can come on inside, and if they have any questions, they can ask them. They can get actually applications there if they're walking in. And we are positioning this so that if we do have any long lines, if we do have any long waits, we have these stanchions here that people will be able to wrap around. But right now, we're at low volume. And so as voters enter in through this corridor here, they will have the option then to come back, and we do have some voters in here, so I'll just be very brief in here. But we have about 6 stations where voters can get the over-the-counter ballots, give their applications over, have our staff process them, and then give them their ballots. And so we have that, again, that unique experience of still voting in person, and for people who want to vote in person but don't necessarily want to wait until Election Day. So we've got many of our team members in here that are in the back here, again, processing applications, working on that. After voters have voted, we put it in this secure container here that is then picked up by a bipartisan team of workers. We have this handy custom-made ballot holder that has a ballot for every single precinct in Center County that voters can utilize. When we're not in use, we actually have a vault here. And this vault room is where Penn State keeps all their tickets when Bruce Springsteen is in town. But right now, Center County Elections is in the DJC. And so we're so excited to be able to give you this opportunity to share a little bit about what the Center County Board of Elections has designated for our voters. And so thrilled that we have many people taking advantage of it here in Center County. So again, thank you, Secretary Boockvar, for all the work that you're doing to make sure we have safe and accessible elections here in Pennsylvania.
And thank you, Commissioner Pipe. We will take some questions now. We're going to start with Jen Rehill from WLVR. A couple of things on the question and answer. If you please hold it to one question per person. I hate to ask that, but we really try to get in as many people as we can. So one question per person. Also, if you indicated on your RSVP that you would like to be called on, but your screen name does not let me know who you are, then if I can't find you on the participant list here, then you will not be called on. So make sure that your screen name accurately lets me know who you are. We're going to start with Jen Rehill from WLVR, and next up will be Lizzie Hardison from the Capital Star. Go ahead, Jen.
Hi, Secretary. Thanks for being here today. You had mentioned that you're expecting high voter turnout in this election, I guess, based on these voter registration numbers. What kind of preparations is the state making and the county making to make sure that everyone gets to vote on Election Day if there's unprecedented voter turnout on that day? You're muted.
Sorry, it wouldn't let me. Wanda was just controlling. She was afraid that I was just going to speak out. And thank you, Commissioner Pipe. I also you couldn't hear me thanking you, but appreciate the tour. So yes, thank you for your question. Great question. So yeah, I mean, you know, one of the things what's one of the best things about Act 77 and the changes we've seen in Pennsylvania are that voters have choices now. And of course, that always includes in-person Election Day voting. So we at the Department of State, in partnership with PEMA and other very generous businesses, have provided to all the counties masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, face shields, sneeze guards, tape to mark social distancing, disinfectant, cleanser, and paper towels to make sure that the tables and all the materials are wiped down. So they are going to be exceedingly safe, you know, and Commissioner Pipe, I'm sure, can talk about whether Center County, I think one of the things when we talked to counties in June to ask them not only which types of PPE would be most helpful to them for the polling places. But one of the clear messages was the sooner you could get it to us, the better. So my understanding is all the counties have already gotten theirs. They were sent earlier in October so that they have plenty of time to outfit the polling places. And there's also, we issued guidance to the counties to provide to their polling places. And we did this before the primary, and we're about to reissue this week if we haven't already, also talking about cleaning the polling places before and after Election Day to make sure that they're as safe as possible. So lots of provisions going on to make sure that for every voter and every poll worker, Election Day voting is safe. And Commissioner Pipe, I don't know if you have any specific to Center County that you want to talk about?
Yes, so and one of the things that we had the opportunity or an option to do in the primary was to potentially consolidate polling locations. We didn't have that opportunity for the general, and I think that's been a good thing. It's allowed us to make sure that every single precinct has their own dedicated space to vote, but we've still taken the precautions of having masks for all of our poll workers, face shields, in addition, hand sanitizer upon entrance and exit. In addition, we have plenty, we're stocked full of disinfectant wipes, also disinfectant and paper towels as well, which I think is a good workaround with some of the shortages we're having with Lysol and whatnot right now. So, so those have been the precautions we're taking place. We're making sure that every one of our poll workers has a 3-sided sneeze guard that is transparent. We also have received some from the Department of State that are one-sided that we'll be utilizing upon check-in at the polling locations. But we're taking every precaution to make sure the poll workers are safe and able to work the polls on Election Day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pipe. We have Lizzie Hardison from Capital Star, and next up will be Jan Murphy, Penn Live. Go ahead, Lizzie.
Hi, thanks, Wanda, and thank you everyone for doing this. Secretary Boockvar, I wanted to ask about county level staffing complements going into Election Day and just the different resources that counties are going to have to process mail-in ballots, because I understand that the biggest volume of ballots will be going to suburban counties with the biggest populations, but of course those counties might have bigger staffs or more volunteers to help with the workload. So I'm just wondering, do counties report to their election day or post-election day workforce to the Department of State? Are you guys monitoring disparities in workforce? And are there any counties where you think the vote count could be especially protracted, just given, I guess, the ratio of ballots to people processing them?
So, yeah, so Pennsylvania's a commonwealth, right? And so we have a decentralized system of a lot of things, including many of the decisions that may be made regarding resources, basically, on Election Day. And so the counties have the authority to make those decisions, but yes, we are closely in touch with them. So, one of the very helpful things this year, of course, was we received two pots of money from the federal government. So we received the CARES Act funding, and we also earlier in January had received HAVA election security and improvement funding, basically. And both of those pots of money can be used for staffing, equipment, that relate to a lot of the things that we pass as a result of Act 77. So basically anything that improves the administration of elections for the first pot of money, that's sort of on top of whatever normally counties had done before. And then the CARES Act was kind of anything that you were doing, the counties, well, the state and the counties were doing as a result of COVID-19. So as you can imagine, there was a lot of overlap when it came to mail-in voting, early voting in general, and all the resources needed for that. So we gave $13 million, $6 million from one of those pots of money, $7 million from the other to the counties so that they would have the flexibility, because, for example, Commissioner Pipe in Center County is better able to know what he needs his funds for, most importantly, and same for the commissioner from Tioga County and from Allegheny County. So, so we gave that money to them, and then on top of that, we purchased certain things that were more one size fits all improvements for everybody, including public education statewide and materials, PPE, as I mentioned, and lots of other things. So, the counties have all been staffing up and have been, some of them, have been, as you've probably heard, had some transition. So we work even more closely with the counties where they have new staff in there to make sure that they understand all the processes involved. But we are very closely involved. And in fact, our liaisons at the Department of State, we have staff who are sort of assigned to continuously follow up with their counties. And so they are closely in touch every week, usually multiple times every week. That's going to be ramping up even more as they keep us posted about any needs, any way that we can help through the election and beyond, including, by the way, we provide equipment, all the equipment for voter registration access. So access to Shore, we provide that. We provide the accessories to that at no cost to the counties. So, and we've changed our support, like our support staff available to help counties. Since the counties are working basically around the clock, we wanted to make sure that our IT team was also available around the clock. So I think, all those things will make sure that the counties have the support that they need to, get through this. And I don't know, Commissioner Pipe, if there's anything you want to add.
Sure. I think from the staffing standpoint, so the folks who are working in our office, for the satellite elections office right now, have done really a phenomenal job where in a matter of 3 weeks, we were able to train 18 individuals that have been phenomenal. They're former teachers, former nurses, professors at Penn State who are on sabbatical. We've had a tremendous amount of people who have an outpouring of support from the community who believe in the opportunity to expand access to the ballot box. And they have been attentive, knowing that accuracy and not speed is the focus of the satellite elections office, making sure that every vote is counted and prepared in a safe way and secured until election day when we can begin the pre-canvass. So it's been a fantastic partnership with the Department of State, giving us the resources, allowing us flexibility, and then continually checking in to make sure how we're doing with things.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pipe. We'll go with Jan Murphy now. Jan, I'm not seeing an audio connection on your, do you have, I have unmuted you if you can hear us. Okay, we're going to move on to Jim Melwert from KYW News Radio. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, thanks for taking my question. You touched on the confirmation email delays, but on the heels of that erroneous 921 email.
Yeah, we're having a little trouble hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
That's better.
Okay. All right, my level was low. You touched on the confirmation email delays, but on the heels of that erroneous 921 email, there's a lot of angst down here, especially in Montgomery County. I've been told by Delco, Bucks, and Montco officials they're frustrated because the system can't handle an upload of more than about 200 at a time after ballots are scanned in. So rather than uploading one file with the thousands that have been scanned in daily, there's more of a labor-intensive upload that has to be done much more frequently. Is there any chance of a fix, and is there any expectation the Department of State might send out an explainer to ease people's minds about that ballots being received?
So I think there's already been a fix, Jim. So I think now they're uploading more like 1,000 at a time, which is, it's pretty good for a 2002 voter registration system. But I will say, so for example, Montgomery County, which, has received, I think I checked this morning, their website has received over 90,000 of their ballots back, has uploaded over 60,000 into Shore already. So they're getting there. I mean, that's a huge jump from earlier this week and a week ago. But it's a good idea. We are sending more emails to voters who have given their email addresses, but of course that's not everybody. So, but I think it's a good idea. We do continue to post on social media, and Wanda, I think this is I think we've been doing this all week, if not longer. Is that correct? On social media, making sure that voters know that they should not, like I was saying earlier, that there are some delays in the upload process. And, you know, look, when you have almost 3 million ballots go out, that takes time. So I think, you know, we're working individually with the counties to make sure that every piece of the process, that we are helping them do it as quickly as possible. But some of it is purely the nature of the volume. Wanda, I don't know if you have anything you want to add about the communications piece of this.
Yeah, we have been trying to make that information available on social media. I think the most important thing that that voters need to understand is that it does reflect activity by the counties. And so the counties, as they get the ballots scanned in, the ballot tracker will accurately reflect that their ballot has been received. Jonathan, is there anything more that you can tell us on that?
No, the only thing I did want to add is, yes, the Secretary is correct. Right now, counties can upload in batches of 1,000 at a time. This past weekend, we were alerted by one county that they were having trouble uploading larger batches, and we immediately took care of that. And I think that goes to what the Secretary said earlier. You know, we have staff in frequent contact with counties, and if that first option fails, you know, they can call me, they can call our IT staff directly, and if we see a problem, we address it immediately.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Secretary. We're going to go to Mike Rubencam now from the AP, and after that will be Jeffrey Kopp, CNN. Go ahead, Mike. Okay, Mike, I think that you should be unmuted.
I think you may have unmuted me, Wanda, sorry.
Yeah, I have both of you at this moment.
All Michaels.
All Michaels may speak now. Go ahead, Mike Rubencam.
Good morning.
Morning.
As it stands now, what are counties telling you about when they expect to be done counting votes? Like, how long might this take?
So, you know, most counties are, you know, as you might imagine, it varies tremendously. A county with a couple of, you know, tens of thousands of ballots, it's going to be a different time frame than one with hundreds of thousands of ballots. However, I believe every county is going to have counted the overwhelming majority of the ballots in a matter of days. So, you know, my estimate is Friday that the counties will have processed the overwhelming majority of ballots. Keep in mind, of course, that, you know, overseas and military ballots are allowed to be received until a week later. You know, the provisional ballots take longer to count, but for the in-person voting and the mail-in and absentee ballots, it's going to be a matter of days.
Thank you, Secretary. Now we have Jeffrey Kopp from CNN, and after that will be Tom Lacey from Spotlight PA. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Hi, Secretary Boockvar. You mentioned thousands of mail-in ballots coming into county election offices across the state, and then it's going to take some time to process them all. There's been some criticism of the mail-in voting system on the whole, that it's not secure, it's not reliable. There was a small issue in Luzerne County that I know received some national attention, but it was remedied quickly. Are delays and errors, if and when they do occur, the work of some active effort to defraud voters, or just the fact that human beings are the ones running the election? And do you remain confident that the mail-in voting system is both secure and effective?
Absolutely. And thank you for that question. Yeah, look, the county, you know, and Michael Pipe can talk about, you know, his own team, but I can say that the county election officials in Pennsylvania and the county commissioners, but the county election officials are the ones on the ground really doing this work. And they are the most dedicated, committed group of public citizens I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And so, you know, I think what's really important here is that, you know, as, you know, I think you indicated, this is disinformation, right? So this is a deliberate attempt out there to undercut voters' confidence in their election. And the truth is, Pennsylvanians have been voting by absentee ballot for decades. So the only new thing here is that more people can do it because they don't have to have an excuse, but the processes are still the same. So I think this is a good opportunity for me to talk through some of the security that's involved in Pennsylvania. So we don't mail ballots to everybody. Some states do, and they have their own processes. We don't. Every voter needs to apply for an absentee or mail-in ballot. And when you apply, you have to either give your driver's license number or the last four of your social security number, as well as, you know, your own information, so that so before you ever get a ballot, you're checked against either the Social Security database or the PennDOT database, as well as against your voter record, to make sure that you're eligible and qualified before you even get your ballot. So then your ballot is sent, and after you fill it out and return it, the counties again check you. So you've signed your voter declaration on the outside of the envelope. They check to make sure that you actually requested that ballot and that you're in the voter record as a qualified elector. So, you know, I talk about it as an eligibility sandwich, right? They're checking you before they send the ballot. They're checking you when they receive your ballot. And it's an incredibly secure process every single time. And that's why we don't hear about issues. So do not believe, you know, my message to the voters is do not believe the hype, do not believe the disinformation. This is incredibly safe, incredibly secure, no matter how you choose to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. We have Tom Lacey from Spotlight PA, and after that will be Howard Monroe, CBS 3. Go ahead, Tom.
Yes, hi, Secretary. You talked earlier this week about how PEMA and your agency are working together to train poll workers to, you know, address any issues, you know, at their sites when it comes to, you know, people being worked up or any sort of voter intimidation issues, and diffusing tensions you talked about. Can you talk a little bit about what that training looks like in specifics, and is that your agency, or is the state sort of providing that training directly to workers, or are the county election divisions responsible for that?
So, and I can't recall all of the, so I apologize if I'm giving you details that I also talked about on Monday with Spotlight PA, but so in Pennsylvania, we created in 2018, Governor Wolf created the Interagency Election Security and Preparedness Work Group. And even before that, in 2017, the end of 2017, we created a joint county and Department of State and Office of Information Technology, also Election Security Work Group with CCAP, the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania. So back to the Interagency Work Group at the state level, that includes PEMA, Department of State, Governor's Office, Office of Information Technology, including our information security officials at the state level, Pennsylvania State Police, Pennsylvania National Guard, the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, Office of Inspector General, and inevitably I leave one out. So if I think of somebody that I missed, I will add. But so it's been through this collaborative group that we're providing this extra level of security. And in addition to the kind of state level folks, we also, our regular partners are like U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Oh, that's what I forgot, the State Office of Homeland Security. And we also work with the Federal Office of Homeland Security. So for example, like earlier this week, we had a meeting of the whole interagency work group, and the Federal Office of Homeland Security was also there. And last week, I think, was the meeting with PEMA that I might have referred to on the Spotlight PA call. And so, but basically what we're doing is adding another component of collaboration with the counties and the state via, like PEMA, I think I would say is the hub at this point, but basically to make sure that the counties, so that Commissioner Pipe's election officials are closely in touch with their emergency management folks and the law enforcement folks so that they know exactly who to call if there's an issue. And we're also going to be coordinating statewide. So we're all going to be having touch points. And really, it's, you know, it's not Department of State, it's not PEMA, it's all of us, the state police, we're all going to be collaboratively doing this. So I think that basically answers your question. Commissioner Pipe, I don't know if you want to talk, this is this question specifically really about kind of the on-the-ground election security and the concern about voter intimidation and maybe protests or other things that are on the ground on election day. I don't know if you want to talk about any particular preparations that Center County is doing.
Sure, thank you. So we just wrapped up a weekly call with our county administrator, our county solicitor, president judge, and district attorney to be able to work through what that process is going to look like on election day. And essentially, we're working through all sorts of scenarios and what that process would look like, but it's absolutely going to include our elections office. It's going to include our constables, our judges of election, and realizing the fact that there is a process in place that exists already. However, if there is a heightening of issues that we need to deal with, we can take care of that on election day. But yeah, the most important thing is being over prepared in these situations and hoping nothing happens. And so we're in that spot where we would love to be over prepared and everything runs smoothly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pipe. We're going to go to Howard Monroe from CBS 3, and next up will be Mark Levy, AP. Go ahead, Howard.
Good morning, Secretary. The decision from the Supreme Court earlier this week may have confused some people. While you do have an extra 3 days to receive that ballot, it still needs to be postmarked by November 3rd. Is that correct? And how important is it for people to understand that if you put it in the mail on Wednesday morning, it won't be counted?
Yeah, so I want to make it clear, I honestly don't care what the Supreme Court said or didn't say. Ballots need to be mailed. If they're going to be put in the mail, they need to be mailed this week. If they're going to be dropped off, they need to be dropped off by November 3rd. And really, like, that message, we've actually consistently been saying that, because litigation comes and it goes. Really, the voters, for them to make sure that their ballots count, it should be received by November 3rd. Yes, the decision says as long as it's cast by November 3rd and received by November 6th, it can be counted. That's more of a matter for the counties. That's not a matter for voters. I need the voters all to know they need to cast their ballot by November 3rd. And that's the fundamental message. And any help you could be on that is great. So yes, cast your ballot, if possible, in person before November 3rd, on November 3rd. And as I mentioned, it's never been easier to do so. Counties like Center and many others have multiple county election offices, have multiple drop-off locations, secure drop boxes, so many options. You can go to votespa.com to find all your locations in your county. Just get it in before November 3rd.
Thank you, Secretary. We're going to go with Mark Levy from the AP, and then after that, we'll have Lucy Perkins, WESA. Go ahead, Mark.
No, Mark?
Mark, can you unmute, Mark? Okay, let's go to Lucy Perkins, WESA.
Good morning, Secretary. Thanks for doing the call.
Can you hear me?
Now I can. How do you want to do this one?
So we here at AP are tracking reports of emails from the Proud Boys, allegedly received by voters in Pennsylvania. We're wondering if you know anything about this, if you know how widespread it is, if anyone's contacted your office to report receiving them, and if it's being investigated.
So I don't have specific information on that at this time, Mark, but I am aware that they were sent to voters in multiple swing states, and we're working closely with the attorney general on these types of things and others. So we have regular check-ins with them to make sure, and the counties have been keeping us in the loop on what they're hearing. So it will be investigated should we receive any information. I don't know if Deputy Secretary Marks, if you've heard anything directly on this issue. from any counties?
Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting myself. No, we haven't heard anything specific from any of the counties. I did want to backtrack just really shortly. On election day, the secretary was talking about a lot of our partnerships before election day and on election day. We do get intel from our partners, and we share that with the counties. And on election day, we actually have a dashboard. So if we hear any specific reports of anything occurring in a specific county, we would reach out proactively to that county to let them know what's going on in the event that they're not already keyed into it. But I haven't heard anything specific about emails from the Proud Boys. But we have been tracking with our partners intel on what they're seeing, chatter that they're seeing on social media, other isolated events, and we disseminate that information to the affected parties as appropriate and as necessary.
Thank you, Deputy Secretary. We will go to Lucy Perkins now from, is Lucy still with us?
I'm here.
There we go, Lucy, go ahead.
Thanks. Secretary, I was hoping you could address, there's been some questions in Allegheny County about mask requirements for poll watchers. I know that poll workers will be required to wear masks, and you can't require voters to wear masks when they go into their polling place, so you can ask them to. Do poll watchers have to, are they required to wear masks?
That's a really good question, Lucy. As you can tell, I'm thinking through this. It's the first time I've been asked this question. I would need to get back to you on, I think, where we are with this. My personal opinion would be that yes, they just like the poll workers should have to wear masks when in the polling place. They are going to be there interacting with at least some portions of people for large portions of the day. And there's not the competing constitutional right to vote that you have with a voter who shows up without a mask. So I'm going to go with, I would very much like to have every poll watcher have to wear a mask. And I'll get back to you on confirmation of that. Jonathan, I don't know if you have anything to add there.
We will have to confirm, but I believe poll watchers, because they're regulated by the counties, like poll workers. Certainly, a county could make such a mandate. They're there, assigned by a candidate or a political party, but they're credentialed by the county board of elections, and I think the county would probably have the ability to regulate their activity within the poll books, provided they don't violate any of the clear rights that poll watchers have while they're in the polling place. But I think we'll need to confirm. But I do think that's something that county, as I understand the scope of authority of the county boards of elections, that they could regulate.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Secretary. We have time for one more question. We're going to wrap up with Andy Mahalchik from WVRE. Go ahead, Andy.
Hello, can you hear me?
You're faint.
We're having trouble hearing you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
It's faint, so just keep yelling.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize.
That's better.
Question, has your department been in touch at all with U.S. Postal Service officials in Pennsylvania or any parts of the state talking about any kind of potential issues going with mail-in ballots or applications heading into the last 2 weeks?
I'm sorry, you came in and out there. I couldn't hear your question.
Has the Department of State been in touch with the U.S. Postal Service at all regarding any issues heading into the last 2 weeks of the election, either communication-wise or talent-wise, any delivery issues?
So I'm going to try to repeat what I think you said because it was still hard to hear you. Are you asking whether the Department of State has been in touch with the Postal Service about any issues with mail delays?
Yes, that's it. Yes.
Okay. Deputy Secretary Marks, you want to talk some about that? The answer is yes.
Yes.
But I'll give you the details.
Yes, we stay in pretty frequent contact. We also provide them with data so that they know how many ballots are hitting the mail stream, how many are out there, how many may come in. The U.S. Postal Service is also set up, I think, twice a week calls directly with county boards of elections to hear any concerns that they may have. And then through our contacts, both in Washington, D.C. and here in Pennsylvania, if a county raises a specific issue or has a specific question, we get in contact with the U.S. Postal Service, and they can help us look into any isolated incidents where, mail may be slow at a particular post office. And in fact, I've actually been, I think the last 3 weekends in a row, I've been on the phone with someone from the U.S. Postal Service trying to get some information just to allay the fears of various counties, as they're getting questions from their voters.
And I'll just add, Andy, that looking at the numbers of how many ballots have already been cast and those high percentages compared to where we were at this time before the primary is a good sign, right? So now granted, a lot of people have options to drop off in person, and that's also a great thing. And again, if I haven't said that already, we're urging everybody, if you can, drop off in person. That's just the safest way to go. But the ballots are being processed through the Postal Service. By and large, this has been very successful so far, and 2 weeks still to go. So we have high confidence in the ability for these ballots to continue to be processed through the mail. But again, if you have the chance, just drop off your ballot in person. Just do it in person. It's so easy, and that way you don't have to worry about it.
Thank you, Secretary, and thank you everyone for joining us. As you know, my very incredible communications staff will follow up with an email containing all of the stats, the numbers that the Secretary mentioned at the beginning. Also later on this afternoon, you will get a link to the recording that PACast will put out on this press conference. So thank you for being with us. We'll be back here on Friday morning at 10:30. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Pipe. Thanks, everybody.